welcome to another session from Old Head
and Young Shoulders.
and Cam. Been a while since I saw you. What have you been up to? What have you read since I last saw you?
What have I read? Not enough to begin with.
Okay.
I wish I had more time to read some more stuff, but a couple books I've read recently is School of Greatness from Lewis Howes. Interesting book, quite a good book. He's also got a podcast as well, so he's kind of one of my inspirations for podcasts.
Good.
So I thought I'd support his book and have a little read. And also one of my favourite books I think I've ever read actually is from a guy called Aubrey Marcus, called Own a Day. So he runs a supplement company in America, not just a protein kind of,
Sure.
yeah, not just
Yeah.
for muscle, it's kind of all around mind and really how you can get the most out of your day. So he talks about everything we need, the minerals we need, but then he also talks about different things we can do on a daily basis to help us essentially get ahead, like how important it is to get, say, vitamin D from the sun, how important it is to exercise, how important it is to relax and sleep and all these different things. So, but he really dives into those subjects where he's not just, you need 8 hours of sleep. He doesn't talk about that. He talks more about the sleep cycles and getting into deep sleep and and stuff like that. So
Say the name again.
so his name's Aubrey Marcus and his book is called Own a Day. It's a big book, but it is one of my favorite reads so far because I feel like everything in there is applicable and you can take something away from it. How about you?
Just finished reading Jesse Itzler. Do you know Jesse Itzler?
He yes,
American guy, wrote a book, Living with a Navy SEAL.
David Goggins.
David Goggins, which was inspirational. If you haven't read it, check it out. And he's written a new book, Living with the Monks. And this is a more thoughtful book. This is about him going off-grid and living in a community of monks, not for very long, for about a week or so, but it's how he changed his thinking. For one thing, he had to give up his phone. So no mobile signal, he's totally off-grid. And it's the way in which he started recalibrating and rethinking what is important in his life. So I recommend it, Jesse Itzler.
Have you looked much into David Goggins?
A little bit. The guy's a machine.
He is a machine. Honestly, for anybody watching this, you need to check out this guy called David Goggins. Not a lot of people inspire me to kind of work and stuff like that, but he is one of those individuals who make me think about my excuses and just carry on anyway.
But I think his secret isn't a physical thing, it's a mental thing.
Oh, 100%.
It's the mental toughness. Those Navy SEALs, they have a little mantra which they use to generate mental toughness, GVSA. One is about goals, one is about visualization, another is about self-talk, and another is about, sounds a bit dodgy this one, arousal control. Don't get too excited when things are going well, and don't get too cast down when they're going badly. Just stay somewhere in the middle, because getting excited, you waste energy.
That's actually interesting as well, because I didn't realise you knew about someone like David Goggins, and obviously going off topic a little bit, in one of the podcasts I actually heard him on, one phrase he said, what sticks with me now, he actually said you want to become uncommon amongst the uncommon.
Right.
So he said when he wanted to join the Navy SEALs, the Navy SEALs was the uncommon.
Yeah.
But once he became a part of that community, he was normal because everyone else was the same. Yeah. So then his goal was to become uncommon amongst the uncommon. And on the podcast, they said to him, "Oh, what's the furthest you've ever ran?" And he's like, 205 miles straight. It's like, it's unbelievable. But you do similar races to that as well, don't you? You do long races.
I do. Had a rubbish race the other day. Had a half Ironman the other day. Didn't go well. Okay. And I was analysing why. I didn't want it enough. They reckon start with the why. You need a powerful why to sustain you when you're getting tired. And my why wasn't strong enough. I didn't have a strong enough reason for doing that race.
Why? Why did you do it?
Because I'd done it before and I wanted to test myself against how I was about 3 years ago. But that's not enough. So I needed a a bigger why.
So what did the race consist of? How many miles?
It's a 1 point something swim
Oh,
and a 60-mile bike and a half marathon. And it was in Brecon, Tighton Brecon, and I hadn't worked hard enough in training. And I remember you saying before, you can have results or excuses.
yes, you can.
You can't have both. And during my training plan, I had a great coach, but I had too many excuses, too many missed sessions, and
Going off topic, but
it adds up.
I'm fascinated with this stuff, and even Dave from Gadget Line, we've got an app on our phone where we started challenging each other to run.
Yeah.
And the reason why I kind of run, partly is because of listening to someone like David Goggins.
Sure.
Because I thought to myself, if I can get good at something I hate road running.
Yeah.
If I can get good at something I hate, then everything else I do is going to be easy, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is your strongest point? Is it the swim? Is it the run? Is it the bike ride?
I'm pretty mediocre at all of them. I'm consistent, but that's okay, because some people excel in one and are lousy at another. So if you're reasonable at all of them, you're not in a bad place. And don't forget, in triathlon, it's divided into age groups. So I've just got to make sure that I'm quicker than most of the 60 to 64 year olds in my age group.
And you're doing, what's the race this Saturday?
This is Race to the Stones. This is an ultra, my first ultra.
100 kilometres.
100 kilometres. Hey,
Wow.
it's hot in here, it's hot out there. I'm not going to be chasing
But let's be honest.
a silly time.
Don't be humble. Please don't be humble. He's 63 years old.
Yeah, but hey,
63 years old.
you've got to start rethinking about the aging process. I heard a futurist talk the other day about how our life expectancy is going through the roof. We're going to be living longer and longer and longer than generations before us. So 64 these days, there's no reason why I shouldn't be doing this stuff when I'm 84. It's up here. It's an attitude. It's a mindset.
Is it up here?
It is up there. It's a mindset. Yeah, the body starts wobbling and, it's not as strong. Keep working on strength. Keep working on your strength. But, it's a mindset. And that applies to leading a school. It applies to nailing revision sessions, whatever. The mindset is everything.
Because this is episode 5, and it's a bit of a distance between episode 4 and 5
Sure.
because we haven't seen each other for a while, just because we've been so manic. Putting you on the spot, have you had any conversations with anybody or any interactions with anybody what made you think a certain way? Maybe taught you something? Maybe something you can apply or you have applied? Or just something that's been quite inspirational with you? So the reason why I say that is because there's been quite a few times actually. I was at an event the other week and I got it on camera. Dave filmed it from Gadget Line, so he filmed it, and it was the biggest event I've done so far. It's in front of 2,000 people. I wore the bow tie. I didn't just wear the normal kind of speaking tracksuit I normally
Sure.
wear. But then after it, mind you, the impact I had, it was only essentially a 15-minute talk, a little bit less than that. And one of the parents came up to me after, and in many ways, she broke down to me. She said, honestly, your talk was incredible, but it wasn't about me at this time. Those things are amazing to hear, but it's just to hear everything she's been going through with her kids, with her family, and how she is still strong and still supporting her son who had learning difficulties, had many different things going on, many different challenges. But it was just amazing to see the amount of love she had for him and obstacles she overcomes on a daily basis. And it makes what I do on a daily basis, I take it for
Sure.
granted essentially,
Sure.
because I'm like, wow, I can talk about how hard my life is, but compared to something like that,
Sure.
and it made me take a step back and just think, wow, what an incredible woman. And I know people go through this stuff all the time, and sometimes it's so easy to forget and not appreciate that.
Yeah.
Does that kind of make sense?
It does make
So that
sense.
was a conversation I had where I kind of sat back and thought to myself, like, wow, I'm doing something good here. and I love what I do, and there's a bigger purpose to why I'm
Sure.
doing what I'm doing.
Sure.
What about you? Putting you on the spot, would you?
Somebody I met recently, it was a school leader.
Okay.
A school leader who was leading the school in challenging circumstances, and is just got a very clear sense of priorities, very focused on the students, on the well-being, and determined that those students just get the very best deal, and recognising that that takes time. You've got to grow things over time. I hope that those leaders are given time. You need some quick wins, you need your year 11 outcomes to be strong, but real growth takes time.
Okay, perfect. So I want to get into today's topic.
What have you got?
On the spot again, because you don't
Sure.
know about this, we haven't prepared this. And my topic today is happiness.
Okay.
Just happiness.
Yeah, sure.
And why I say that is because a lot of people say, you can ask them, well, what do you want to be in life? And a lot of people just say they want to be happy. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that is such a kind of fad, is fad a word? I don't know. It's such an answer what, thanks Dave. It's such an answer where I don't know if I completely agree with it. It just sounds nice, it sounds great, but is it really true? And do we always want happiness, or is there a different word we are looking for? I don't know. I just want to talk about that word because the way I understand it, it's an emotion, and emotions change.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe the better word is contentment. I think happiness is short term. You could be happy today, you could be miserable tomorrow, and moods fluctuate. But if you can achieve a state of contentment, that's deeper. That doesn't get blown here and there on a daily basis. So if you feel that you're being useful, if you are content that you're doing something valuable, then that's your anchor. That holds you strong. And it doesn't matter so much then if you're happy one day and miserable the next, because underneath all of that, you've got a reservoir of contentment. If you can achieve that, you're lucky.
Contentment. Is with contentment, do you run the risk of becoming not moving forward?
No,
Not growing.
I know what you mean, because contentment sounds comfortable, doesn't it?
That's what I mean. That's
Sound-
the
sounds-
word.
Sounds a sort of lazy, middle-aged word. So go back to happiness again. I reckon happiness, it's a bit like love. It's what you find when you stop looking for it. You know, if you go chasing after happiness, that's awfully forced somehow. You've got to be ready for it to come to you. So if it's in your work life, just go out there and find something that you love. If you can find a job that you enjoy, then you're lucky. But happiness, I don't know, there's so much at the moment about mental health and well-being.
Yeah, very true.
That a lot of happiness can be very fleeting.
It's temporary, 100%. So, for example, I could be at home with my fiance and the little one, and in that moment, I could be very happy. I'm at home, we're relaxed,
Sure.
we're having fun. And I can go to the office and get bombarded with emails, and all of a sudden, I'm a bit stressed. It's not a bad thing, but that is life. And I feel like sometimes talking about mental health and stuff like that, we need to understand that emotions we feel is a part of life, and it is okay. Sometimes it is okay to be angry.
Absolutely.
There isn't really a negative emotion. There isn't. People talk about positive and negative emotions, but that's not something I believe in, because
It depends if you get trapped in it or not.
okay.
If you get trapped in a negative emotion, then that's unhealthy.
But
So-
what is a negative emotion?
Well, you mentioned anger. If you're Mr. Angry and you're perpetually miserable and angry, that's not a healthy state of affairs. You might burn with a righteous anger, that's different.
Okay.
But you've got to have a bit of light and shade. So don't get trapped in one another. Going back to happiness again, the country is on a roll at the moment. It's a happy country out there. The sun is shining, and England play Croatia tomorrow.
Tomorrow. But when you guys are probably going to watch this, we'll probably, we know the answers.
So we haven't got a crystal ball, I'm afraid. But just that gives people a sense of well-being and happiness. But it's very fragile. What if England lose?
True.
I wonder how happy the country will remain. Yeah. And then you've got all the politics going on as well. But there's a lot of feel-good factor out there at the moment.
So keys. What are the keys? Keys to happiness, if there is. What would you say? So I'll go first. For me, I always talk about, obviously some people don't know about what their goals and dreams are yet. They might not know exactly what their purpose is. But for me, I do feel like contentment, happiness, you will find this emotion a lot more when you are chasing something you want to do.
Yeah.
Because once you are chasing something and once you start seeing some results, you go to the gym, and then after 3 weeks of going to the gym, you start to lose weight, you start to feel more confident about yourself. You are going to feel more happy. You will.
Yeah.
Same as, say, going into a school. If I work with a group of year 11s and they try their absolute hardest, they're chasing their goals and dreams, they're using school as a tool to get them to where they want to get to, and they have mocks and get the results they want to, they're going to be happy. Or say, okay, they don't. Say worst case scenario, they don't. But at the same time, they know they tried their hardest. And when you work hard, I feel like you get a kind of self-fulfilling inside of you, knowing that you are doing your best.
I agree with you about the fact that it's got to come from yourself. You won't achieve happiness by investing all your hopes in somebody else. If you're in a relationship, until you're happy with yourself, I don't think you can be happy in a relationship. Because if your happiness depends on somebody else, what happens if they disappear? If they betray you? So you've got to focus on yourself. Get happiness from within, then you're ready for a healthy relationship. And then the balance will be right in that relationship as well. You agree? You disagree?
I agree. I 100% agree. But I think it sounds nice saying you need to find happiness in yourself. But if, for example, what's a difficult time you've been through in your life where you struggle to find happiness, or you've spent more time being miserable or stressed or down? What would you say? Because obviously you've been through quite a lot. You've been through the Navy, you've been becoming a teacher, a head teacher, being self-employed, doing what you're doing. Like, is there a time in your life you have struggled at all, or where happiness just wasn't really a thing you was experiencing, but at the same time you might have just been so into the grind that you just didn't have the opportunity to look around you and see what's what?
Yeah, I mean, people say your school years are your best years. Absolute rubbish. I hated them. Who'd be a teenager? Those years were deeply, deeply unhappy in many ways. I don't want to, get my violin out here, but yeah, it was a struggle. Didn't feel I fitted in somehow.
Wow.
But that's okay. You just keep on keeping on. We'll be talking next about resilience. If you just keep on keeping on, then you get out the other side of it. And everybody says these days, we're very open now about mental health and so on. I've been fortunate. I've never had to endure great bouts of misery and this, that and the other. How about yourself?
On the other hand, I think I talk about it in quite a few of my talks, and also my most recent TEDx talk, where there came a time 5-6 years ago when things wasn't going right. My relationships with people, my relationships with my family, I had no money, I was at university, felt stuck, living in a freezing cold flat in the centre of Bristol, and I wasn't in a good place. And at this point, talking about mental health in a way, I didn't have the courage to go to the doctors, because I didn't think, one is because I was at that point people will see me as a motivational kind of guy.
Yeah.
Pardon me. And yeah, they see me as this motivational, positive guy, so I couldn't then be going to the doctors for mental health issues
Sure.
or challenges or however. But that's only because maybe I felt at that time that because I was a man, that wasn't necessarily possible. And also around that time, I knew quite a few people who actually has taken their life, which
Right.
was quite, it wasn't my best friends or anything,
Mm.
but they're people that I
Sure.
knew, and even one person was somebody who came to me for help.
Mm.
So it was quite a difficult,
Mm.
it was quite a difficult time. And yeah, so for me personally, I said it on the radio once actually, but I believe that my motivational speaking saved my life in many ways.
Yeah.
That was kind of my hope, and I couldn't find happiness. The only time I could find happiness is actually when I was talking in front of people.
Yeah.
And I was shedding light, and maybe at that time that was kind of been seen as fake because I wasn't necessarily happy or the full package, but at the same time I found a lot of purpose in uplifting people.
Fake it till you can make it.
Yeah, and just, you know what, and then over time I feel like that helped me,
Good.
and my goal and my dream really did save my life, and I did see a bigger purpose, and there was just something what was keeping me here essentially. It
Yeah.
sounds deep, but that's just the truth. And
Yeah.
but what made it worse was people was looking up to me for motivation and positivity, but deep down I was eating away, and I was struggling,
Yeah.
but I did manage to come out of that. So
Good.
and it's just maybe now for me to take some time out and look, actually, how did I? What was the kind of things I did to
Sure.
get out of that? Because I haven't really dove straight into it. If
So
that
you
makes-
need some thinking time.
Yeah,
The other thing
maybe.
that's interesting is who teaches you these life lessons? I'm thinking about parents here. I wonder what I don't know if you were lucky enough to have a grandparent. I'm interested in young people's relationship with grandparents, because that relationship isn't as strong as it used to be.
Is it not?
Well, I think families now
Mm.
come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but the relationship with grandparents can suffer in that.
Yeah, so it's funny because obviously we both know that my grandmother was, I basically lived with her, I had my own little room in her house, and she wasn't well off at all. She was a cleaner her entire life, but she would literally do anything for her grandchildren.
That's wonderful.
And she was my motivation. Obviously, when I was going for my GCSE, she passed away, and obviously that's when I started to really go down the wrong path. Not trying to use it as an excuse, but then I think it was from that point I felt truly alone, I think,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. I think it was that point where I felt like, do you know what, my mother wasn't around, my father was working a lot and kind of had his own little family eventually, so I did feel alone, and I feel, yeah, my relationship with my grandmother was a big thing, and maybe that was a mental barrier for me.
Sure.
Because when people just said, oh, don't worry, she's looking down on you, I don't really know if I believe in those feelings. What if she's not? Does that make sense?
If there's a lesson in all of this, it's about family. And we talk about learning, we talk about schools, we talk about progress. Actually, family comes first. Your grandmother will be very proud of you. I had a grandmother who used to pass on her wisdom. I can remember her, she always used to say that rhyme about two people looked out through prison bars, one saw mud, the other stars.
Yeah.
And I love that. And, I can remember her telling me that 50 years ago.
Wow.
I still hang on to it now. It's about mindset. So the crap will be out there, but if you can maintain that positive outlook, you're a lucky person.
Yeah, and just to wrap this podcast up, because I feel like we're jumping into different things here, but it's also good because that's how conversations go. And we've always said to ourselves, doing this, we don't want it to be scripted because it's just not real.
Sure.
And I just think that we just need to try and not hold on to this thing of happiness and actually see all emotions kind of in the same pot, and actually we need to experience them more to make the good times good.
Sure.
And do you know what, and to even learn from some of the bad times. and you're gonna be up, you're gonna be down. But maybe if you have the habits in place, if you're determined, if you're unmotivated, sometimes you're still pursuing what you should be pursuing.
Yeah.
Or if you need to, maybe you need to take a step back and actually reflect, evaluate, and relax.
Sure.
Then create something else, and then keep going again.
Yeah.
Because we do need time to rejuvenate, I think, and I think we both agree with this time of the academic year, is that we both feel a little bit drained. But at the same time, we still got our purpose in place to keep pushing us forward, and we're not going to essentially quit on that, if that makes sense.
And if you're a teacher out there watching this, we're not as trained as you. You will be on your knees at the end of the academic year.
Yeah,
at the
of
end
course.
of the academic year. So those guys really need a rest.
Of course.
Yeah.
100%, because even when it comes to teachers, they are the leaders of our younger generation, and if they're not rejuvenated, if they're not fresh, if they're not enjoying themselves or feel like they're giving what they set out to give, then the students will notice it.
Yeah.
And some of these students we're talking about, they might not have the parents at home. So they might come to the classroom, and the only thing they know, the only thing they feel comfortable with is the environment of school. So it's important that schools, teachers, relax and rejuvenate, read, and just lie on a beach somewhere if you can. Yeah.
So teachers out there, enjoy your holiday, you've earned it.
How do we wrap this up?
Well, thanks folks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the latest session from Old Head.
Young shoulders.
And don't forget, work hard.
And be nice. We did it.